2 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
And I'm not afraid to say it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are tuned into Black Westchester Present, the People Before Politics radio show. We are on episode 290, 10 episodes away from our 300th episode. You can catch us every Sunday, 6 to 8, streaming to you live on Facebook and YouTube. Yes, go look at the YouTube, the Black Westchester YouTube channel, like it, follow it. The show's also streamed there for all you that don't really dig Facebook that much. So, we try to make it available, and we soon will be streaming on, we'll also be streaming on LinkedIn as well. So, thank you. Johnny Limo said, congratulations, AJ and Black Westchester, for all the good work you've been doing. Thank you very much, Johnny Limo. John Khader, shout out to Craig D. Frazier, my dude, what's going on? Guy Harris, Jonathan Campazano, I hope I pronounced your name right. If I didn't, please forgive me. I mess up names for a living. So, I'm a professional name messer upper. So, if I mess it up, I apologize.
Look out for Jonathan's article on Vanessa Gillian and with Jamal Bowman coming out of Black Westchester's next episode.
And I actually just finished laying out the 2 Latino empowerment pages. Latino empowerment will have 2 pages in this issue, which is the Women's Month issue. I know it's Women's History Month, but I'm calling it the Women's Month issue because I want to celebrate women, not just women who have made history, women that are doing things now, the unsung heroes. So this is our Women's Month issue, and I'm still trying to put it together. Hopefully it'll be out Friday. So that's that. We have Yonkers City Councilman,
Council President,
Mike Khader. He is our guest today. And in the second half of the show, we're going to be dealing with a bunch of issues like Cuomo, and all that stuff. So, we're just going to be having some real talk for the community like always. And as I spoke on him, he is coming in right now. I can see the council president is here. Without further delay, we're going to get right into to start off the show, Lorraine, I'm sorry. I am AJ Woodson, and I have my lovely co-host with me, Lorraine Lopez. Do you have any words for the people? Any comments?
No. Let's get this show started. I'm eager to speak to Mike.
All right, so we're going to talk to
We're
Mike.
gonna, we're gonna, we're gonna be having a conversation, like you said. We're gonna be having a conversation afterwards.
All right.
Hey!
What's good, Double
So, yeah,
L? How are you?
Hey!
Good. What's up, AJ? How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good, my brother. I'm good. Very good. Very good. I'm blessed. Can't complain. It doesn't do any good anyway, but I can't complain.
Who's listening,
God has been
AJ?
good. I
Actually,
don't know.
Lorraine is listening. So if you got a list, Lorraine is taking notes.
Oh, okay. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Shout out to Lorraine. Oh, and let me just say on the air because I ain't tell her. So, we're celebrating women for the Women's Month issue, and yes, we are paying homage to our Latina uh, uh, um, um, Lorraine Lopez for all the work she does as an unsung hero. There is a story on her. She didn't know that, and Damon also asked me today. He said, "You got a story on Lorraine, right?" So just so you know, we both decided that we are going to pay tribute to. We can't celebrate women and not celebrate the woman who has been a big inspiration and big contributor to Black Westchester. So we have to celebrate our woman. So So she just found out, like the rest of y'all. She just found this out. She's hearing this for the first time.
I'm speechless.
Yeah.
I'm speechless. You didn't have to, AJ. I appreciate you and Damon and Dr. Bob so much, but you really didn't have to. It's not about me. It's
So
about
speaking
uplifting
about
other women.
you just be bringing people right. You just be talking people up. You said Mike's name, he's in. You said Bob's name, now he's here. You just be talking everybody.
Yeah. So,
So
firstly,
welcome to the. He's tuning. He's adjusting his audio now. Other co-hosts, Robert Baskerville, Dr. Bob, aka Brooklyn Bob, our resident professor and researcher. And also, let me give another shout out too. So shout out to Dr. Bob. Like I want to say, and I say this often, but I just said what I said about Lorraine. Dr. Bob, like you see, yes, Damon and I founded, created, and have run this thing from day one. I do a lot of the legwork, the heavy lifting with the writing and the editing and all that stuff. But there's a lot of people behind the scenes that you don't see, and you don't see their name, and they don't get credit. And Lorraine is definitely one of those people in everything she brings. She books a lot of the guests. You know, don't not return a phone call, and she knows you. She's going to you're going to hear from her. You know, if it's advertising time and you're running, you're going to hear from her. So shout out to Lorraine, but also Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob behind the scenes, y'all don't know, holds me down personally. Like he's definitely and the reason I'm doing this, my mother always said, give me my flowers while I'm alive. We tell these stories at people's funerals and when we reminisce about what people mean to us. So Dr. Bob, I met him when we worked the Richard Thomas campaign in 2015. The best thing that came out of that campaign was that me and Bob became friends. We met for the first time and actually became friends. This is my brother. In talking, we found out our fathers used to work together in General Motors and the whole nine. It was like, we didn't even know that. But Bob is like my sounding board when I got an issue and I'm dealing with. And sometimes I want to, I'm not always right. And I want to make sure that maybe I'm not missing it and I'm not seeing it the wrong way. I bounce it off of Bob. So he's heard me vent so that a lot of y'all don't have to hear it. You know what I'm saying? He's been there. If a lot of places I have to be at, I'm not driving these days, Bob will make sure that he sets his schedule to get me where I need to be so I can make an appearance or speak or cover some kind of event that I need to be at that I probably wouldn't have gone to. Some I wouldn't have gone to if Bob didn't talk me into them, but he helps with the distribution of the paper. So Bob is like, a backbone that y'all don't see, and I wanted to give him his props. And that also goes again for Lorraine also does not get the credit for everything that she does. And all that stuff. So for me and Damon, to both of y'all, thank you for all that you do. But okay, just wanted to get that out, and I don't think it can be said enough because we don't give credit. We don't say thank you enough in this society. We don't give credit to people that's behind the scenes, and that's Black Westchester would not still be here on some level or another if it wasn't for the contributions of these two. The show wouldn't still be going on.
All right, let's go.
If it wasn't for the contributions of
all right. I can't say this anymore.
Brain's like enough of that.
I want to interview Mike. I want to interview Mike.
But before we get in there,
Mike.
No, but before we get into the AJ, I just want to say something. I remember when you were starting up, you and Damon, and when you look at your success, in the digital and in the print, you got to look at who you surround yourself by, and you're very fortunate that not only do you have Damon, but you're surrounded by forces of good. And Dr. Bob, I don't know if you remember the one. Actually, I went to the studio a couple of times, but the first time went to the studio, we were right next to each other, and the stuff that you were saying was so profound and provocative, right? Yes. And I said in my mind, if I get out of this interview alive, I want to get to know this dude. I don't know if you remember that, Bob. And listen, we kept in contact, and we sent some messages, but the stuff that you were talking about back then were spot on. You were ahead of yourself. Lorraine, again, you're a force. We're always in contact. So AJ, the success that Black Westchester is doing, obviously, is from the dedication, the hard work of you and Damon, but it's also the team you have. So I wish each and every single one continued success. Keep up the great work. No one's going to do the work for you, and you're opening up doors. You're a trailblazer, and you're trend setting with the team that you have. Nothing but love and respect.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Bob, maybe next time you'll return my text. How's that sound?
I said to myself, well, I was going to say to the audience, I think you sent me a happy birthday text, Mike, if I'm not mistaken.
He always does. He never forgets anyone's birthday.
I'm sure you're correct. I did not expect, although I'm somewhat embarrassed to have to admit that, yes, I was negligent in not responding. The only benefit is that other people who are watching right now who also sent me texts that I did not respond to knows that it's not you alone. I swear to you. There are other people. I had someone, a close friend, who sent me a Happy New Year's text. And I was just saying to myself, what we're in March? And I was just saying to myself, oh my goodness, I still didn't respond. I appreciate it. And, just merely, beg your forgiveness and your understanding. But I am happy. I was so pleasantly surprised to know that you thought about me, Mike. And
listen, you're a great dude, and I look forward to those deep, profound conversations where it's not just sharing of opinions, but it's also learning. Time. There's that saying: time is precious. Waste it wisely. I rather invest my time where I'm going to learn from conversations. So I just wanted to point that out. Let's do this. Time is limited.
How
you guys doing?
And even though I came in late, I did want to.
And I just wanted to say,
no, go on, AJ. I'm sorry.
I just want to say, it was organic. If I tried to select a team, it wouldn't have happened like this. Everything was organic. You know what I'm saying? Very organic. Let's go ahead, Bob, and then we will get right into the interview.
No, I just wanted to say, even though I came late, I wanted to formally welcome you, City Council President Khader. It's a pleasure to join with you and Lorraine and AJ on air again and talk about the important issues facing Yonkers and Westchester County. So good to be with everybody. And to the audience and everyone it's good to be with the audience as well.
Fun fact, Mike, you're his council president as well.
So Lorraine, kick it off.
All right. Yeah, you didn't know that, huh? Both of us. I want to welcome City Council President Mike Khader from the city of Yonkers. He's running for re-election, and we are interviewing a lot of candidates this political season. I personally, I'm going to be biased. I love him to death. He's one of my favorite people in the world, one of my favorite politicians, one of somebody that I'm honored to call a friend, and even doubly honored to say that's my city council president.
Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So Mike, let's start it off. Can you tell us, please, what is the role of a city council president? What is it that you do?
You know, I get that question a lot, Lorraine. You know, the city council as a whole is the legislative body of the city of Yonkers. We make the laws. You know, the same way that, you know, in the Westchester County Board, you got the County Board of Legislators make county law. The way you have the state senators make state law, the way you have Congress make federal laws. So what we try to do as a council is create policy that benefits the residents of Yonkers. I, as the council president, I chair the meetings. You know, I'm the record keeper for, like, you know, moving the agenda along. And I chair the actual council meetings that everyone sees on Facebook and on TV. And I chair something else called the rules agenda. The rules agenda is a fancy word for when a piece of law, a piece of legislation, where does it go? That's what we do. Along with the city council, I have 6 other members. We're all voting members. We all are equal to 1 vote. One of the main differences with me is we have 6 council members that represent 6 districts. As a council president, I run citywide. But my vote is just as equal as the other 6 members. And it's a part-time job on paper.
and that's important to clarify, because in Mount Vernon, it's different with the city council. With city councils in Mount Vernon, I believe they're like citywide as well, all of them. In Yonkers, is specific council members represent specific districts. So you have 6 council people representing their own individual districts, and you, as city council president, represent all of those districts, the entire city.
Yeah, that is correct. And you make reference to, like, Mount Vernon, you know, has a particular set of style. I think, AJ, it's called at-large members, or, you know, when they run. Then you have New Rochelle, another lower Westchester city, where they have something called like a city manager issue. You know, if I can, for about like a minute and a half. Yeah. Yonkers used to have 12 council members, and it was called ward leaders. You know, and, you know, that's a political term. And what Yonkers used to have was a city manager, and they had a mayor, but the mayor was more of a ceremonial. You know, it didn't have the juice that the current system has. And what was going on back in the late 90s was council members, because politics and silly season, they were firing city managers regularly. And then I think residents had enough, and by design, they said, let's create a city council that's by design to be weak, and you give a strong form mayor of government, and that's designed to give the mayor all the juice to run the city.
Right. And one of the things I learned in the first interview we did with you is that the city council president is an elected position and doesn't have to be an active council member, where in Mount Vernon, the 5 council members vote amongst themselves which one will be their council president for that year. And it's a year-to-year thing. So I learned a lot about the different systems in our first interview when you were running the first time. Yeah, it is good. And what we normally do is, so a lot of times when I'll get an email, or if there's a particular issue that's affecting a resident, so what I try to do, I use a term, we try to stay in each other's lanes, because each council member, there's really 7 elected leaders, different values, different ideology, different platforms. So what I
different parties.
Different parties. And what I always do, whenever I see there's an issue in a particular district, I will reach out to that council, regardless, Democrat, Republican, progressive, conservative. oh, what's going on with this project? Or are you aware of this issue? I'm getting a lot of emails. And what I always try to do, and most of the time it happens, is I try to get on the same page with that council person, if it's a development project or if it's a building of a house or something along those lines. So I don't necessarily manage the daily complaints. Don't get me wrong, Dr. Bob, Lorraine, AJ, if you call my office for a pothole or a street repaving or a stop sign, we'll definitely work on that. We put a work order in. And then again, the work order goes through, the administration, and hopefully it gets done in a timely manner.
That's something I want to clear up as well, because I'm sure as city council president, you have some people that might say, city council president, I put in a complaint about this particular thing, and I'm still waiting. It's important that people understand, with a strong form of mayor, city council puts in the work order via the mayor's office, and it goes through a series of channels, basically. I mean, first it gets input, they take the complaint and they'll send it to the commissioner in charge of whatever department, and then that they've got to put it in an order of priority or how it came in. Right? Am I right? Do I still remember that?
No, Lorraine, it's funny. You're exactly spot on. And I call those the operational day. The daily running of the city is done by the mayor, which is referred to as, whenever you hear me say the mayor, the administration, it's the same term. So what we do is make the policy. We vote on the budget. And then once that's done, the mayor and his commissioners, they run the city, so and one thing, Lorraine, that, we were talking about garbage cans, trash in the city. We make sure that there were no layoffs from DPW. We make sure that supplies to buy garbage cans were in the budget. Once we're in there, that's the policy issue. Is cleaning the city an important issue? It's in the budget. We voted on the budget. There were no cuts. Then the operations, the management of the city, that goes to the mayor and the DPW. They decide, let's get rid of garbage cans, or what corner gets a garbage can. And then what happens is, many times we're spending more time talking about, silly stuff that without garbage cans, you're going to get more litter. So that's the back and forth and the balancing act between the city council and the administration. Lorraine, you haven't been on the council in a while, but not much has changed since then. So I hope I'm trying to, answer.
So let me ask, anybody in a leadership position, you're gonna have your haters, so to speak, and everyone is not going to be pleased because you can't please everybody. What would you say to the voters as to why they should vote for you for re-election? Can you name some of the accomplishments and things that you're most proud of that you've accomplished in your first term?
Yeah, thank you, AJ. Again, I just want to remind, back in 2017 when I won, number one, my victory switched the city council into a Democratic control. So that alone was a victory for everyone in the city of Yonkers. And then on day one, the relationships that I built, such as with Dr. Bob and AJ and many community-based organizations, I gave what I feel relationships that I built a seat at the table. AJ, I'm the first minority to win citywide office in the city council chambers. So for the first time on TV, we're talking about a diversity of ideas on city council meeting. We're asking for diversity of perspective in city government. We're talking about implicit bias training. We're talking about promotions or the lack of promotions, to be quite frank, in our city workforce. If you look at our city demographics and then you look at our city workforce, you clearly see they don't jive. So these are things that what I campaigned on, we started doing. We spoke about transparency. And I remember, AJ, to be quite honest, there were people in City Hall that literally laughed at me when I said, I want to put our city council meetings on Facebook. Now, It's live interaction. You could literally get, during a city council meeting, you could literally, I don't do it because I'm chairing the meeting, but you get city council members while they're talking, reading, and make no mistake, they watch that, either them directly or through their aide. They watch what's going on. And AJ, for the first time in the history of the city of Yonkers, residents have an easier access to see their city government working. They're seeing democracy in action. I think it was President Kennedy that said it, or maybe it was his brother. Democracy is messy, and it's happening. We brought transparency. I made sure that we governed through the streets, where to be quite honest, when you go into City Hall, it's always a privilege, and I'm humbled to be there. But the best part of the job is being embedded in the community, celebrating with them, mourning with them, and helping them do from community cleanups to, you know, food giveaways and doing charity drives. That's the type of city council president that I did. And to be quite honest, people weren't used to it. They weren't used to it. We made the city council president, instead of a bureaucratic office, we made it a hands-on office, from creating job fairs, health fairs, sponsoring and collaborating with community-based organizations. If I'm represented by the people, I want to be part of the people, not just every 4 years. From a legislative standpoint, I told you about the transparency. We're bringing in legislative software. Believe it or not, one of the hardest things that I have to do as a council president is I have to track where legislation is. If it's a resolution, if it's a law, if it's about whatever the topic is. Right now, AJ, no resident could go onto the city website to find a topic. What about affordable housing? What about the environment? I'm getting legislative software. Congress has it. Albany has it. Westchester County has it. Yonkers never had it. I want to bring Yonkers into the 21st century. So again, you see what laws are being discussed, and more importantly, how your council person is voting, because sunlight is the best disinfectant. You know,
that's very important, because I have an app on my phone. I have an app on my phone that tells me every time my congressman votes and what they voted, yes or no, and then explains where the process is, if the House voted already and the Senate didn't vote, or if it passed all the way. And I get an alert every time I count my votes from this app. So that was very good, and we need more of that in the local municipalities, because politics is local. You know, local politics affect our day-to-day more than the scene. So I applaud you for that.
No, thank you, AJ. And you know, it hasn't been easy. Unfortunately, I got support of some of the council members. We're going to get it up. We're going to get it live. You know, and eventually, once we upload all the information, you're going to, you know, type in, you know, a law, whatever the topic is. You'll find out where it is. When is it on the agenda? Is it on the agenda? Did it pass? Who voted yes? Who voted no? You know, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're moving Yonkers into the 21st century. That way people know what your government is doing. It's very important for me. And I put a lot of political capital, and I ruffled some feathers, in that, you know, I believe it was Abraham Lincoln, you know, government for the people, by the people. You got to connect the people to government, and there was a disconnect. And you got to understand why there was a disconnect. Because when there's a disconnect, people just do things behind closed doors. So when you put the light, the lens, when you go Facebook Live and you make information accessible, now people are watching. And that's something that I take pride in, and that it was never been done before. And under my watch, it happened, and it will continue to happen. And I even though I get beat up sometimes, I have no problem to continue doing it. Whenever I get beat up, Lorraine, that means I'm doing something right.
Of course. Of course.
You know, there's a culture.
Speaking of getting beat up, your opponent came after you recently about a vote on Ludlow Park, the Ginsburg development. She said that you were not in favor of affordable housing for folks. because I don't know if you abstained or you voted against that at the city council. Can you speak on that and explain a little bit?
Sure. Let me be clear. You judge a person, and Dr. Bob, you appreciate this. You don't judge a person by their words. You judge a person by their actions. I helped write the law to double the affordable housing. As we sit here today, it's 10%. I helped. So co-sponsors, you sign on to it. My office helped write it to double it to 20%. I'm pushing for it. We're trying to get it done there. That vote that you make reference to, Lorraine, it was a procedural vote. Whenever you have these mega development projects, there's always phases and steps. And I'm going to be clear. That Ginsburg, they call it the Ludlow Project, the Ginsburg Project, whatever way you want to refer to it, it's lacking in two things. And these are two important things that are important to me and the community. One, local jobs, local union jobs, and affordable housing. And I said it at the city council meeting, so you want to tweet it, Snapchat it. My job is not to make developers rich. My job is to help improve the community. With everything that's going on in the downtown Yonkers, AJ, residents can't afford what's going on down there. That's nice for people that they want to bring in. And right now, when I speak to residents where they're unemployed, so imagine the dignity of a person who's unemployed, who's capable of working and can't even help build that project. So never mind, that person can't even afford to live in that house. He doesn't even have an opportunity to get a job to build that building. I have a problem with that. Yet now, and let me tell you, and let me tell you why I have a problem with that. A lot of these projects receive tax breaks from the IDA. The Yonkers IDA, we have no oversight over. The Yonkers IDA, we have no oversight over the Yonkers Board of Education. So, AJ, there's millions and millions of dollars in tax breaks that are given to these development projects. And sometimes, you got to sweeten the pot to make a deal happen, right, AJ? We got to negotiate. How can we make this happen? So you negotiate. But what I'm seeing consistently is, how is the neighborhood, the residents that are living there, benefiting? And it's not. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to get displacement. You're going to get gentrification. And you're ignoring our residents without homes. Those issues are not being addressed. So I, in good faith, the way I oppose term limits, good faith, I can't support these projects knowing that the real underlying issues affecting the Black and brown community are not being addressed. So, Mr. Developer, you want me to support you, support the community, and I will be your biggest cheerleader. So, Lorraine, I'm not sure what is. That's noise. I'm not even going to get into it. That's chatter. That's noise. That's a distraction. My procedural no vote was sending a message to the developer. And you want to know what? It worked. They were calling me up. Let's sit down and let's talk. That's what I'm doing. Even though I'm one vote, AJ, I have a very loud microphone. So that's what that was all about. 10% affordable housing is not enough. We're in a housing crisis, not just in Yonkers, in Westchester County. There's studies out there. And Yonkers needs to lead the way. And these developers are not making it a priority. So if it's not a priority for the developers, then you know what? You're not a priority for me.
Thank you for that, Mike. You know why? Let me real quickly, and then that's my last comment. Ginsburg Development has been around for as long as I can remember, with several prior mayors. Well, a few prior mayors. When I was around, they have, obviously, it's working for them because they keep coming back and developing. Obviously, they're making a lot of money. They're profiting off of it. So if you care about a community that you're building it, let them know, show them, increase the affordable housing, give back to the community that made you rich, basically. And so thank you. I'm glad you clarified that. I'm glad that the folks now know what that was all about. And thank you for doing the right thing.
No, absolutely. Did we lose AJ? You did a full mic drop on me. You with us?
His mic is off. I'll use his silence as an opportunity to ask a question.
Yes.
Go ahead, Bob, while he fixes it.
Okay. So City Council President, I applaud your effort to try to ensure that more affordable housing is made available to in some of the development projects that are now in the pipeline. I have to say, I am a college professor. I have a PhD and I carry considerable student loan. But to be quite honest with you, many of the rents that are requested by apartment units that are opening up that are supposed to be for professionals are well outside of my budget. That's just a reality. I share that with everyone because I think in many respects, my situation exemplifies the challenges that other people are facing as well. Now, I know in the discussions that we've had here on the show and outside in the broader community as well, one of the policy issues that we've raised questions about and we wanted to see addressed is a redefinition of the AMI to be more in keeping with the actual income levels of residents within the municipality as opposed to the county as a whole. My sense is that, one of the things that is really prohibiting more affordable housing coming into some of the municipalities in Westchester that are, medium income is on the lower end of the spectrum, is that we're using the West income is on the lower end of the spectrum.
AJ, mute your mic.
Okay. So yes, thank you, AJ. So that for those municipalities that have residents that are on the lower end of the income spectrum, it may in fact price them out. And I wanted to know, is the city council under your leadership considering, and I'm not fully aware of how much leeway latitude you actually have, but are you guys considering, are you urging the city council members to consider a redefinition, a modification of the AMI so it's more in keeping with the actual incomes of residents, in respective areas?
Thank you, Dr. Bob, for that question. And so that everyone knows, when we talk about AMI, that's a definition it stands for area median income. And that's just pretty much what's the average income in Yonkers. And so the short answer is, Bob, I support a Yonkers AMI. And I'm going to tell you how I support the Yonkers AMI, because I put it in the bill that I helped draft.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in there, and I'll show it. But number two, what Dr. Bob is talking about, even something a little deeper. Westchester, Yonkers is biggest city in Westchester County. Westchester is considered an affluent county. So that the numbers, don't quote me on it, for a family of four is somewhere in the 80s. So affordable housing, talking about in the 80,000s, is totally different when you talk about a Yonkers AMI, which is the average salary for a family of four, is somewhere in the 50s. So it's important that the AMI, area median income, is more reflective of the community that it's supposed to benefit. So I'm just trying to add context to your question, Bob. Mm-hmm. It does have the Yonkers AMI, and we're looking to double it from 10 to 20. I agree. And this AMI, it's more deeper. And I think you as a college, with a respect for, I feel like I'm a college student. I'm talking to a professor here.
No,
you would appreciate it, because here's what we're really talking about. In 2020, the world saw the United States for once put social justice in a spotlight. So now when we march for social justice, it's not just for police reform, it's education reform. It's for a diversity. It's for a seat at the table. It's for job reform, food insecurity. And that's what the issue, how come there isn't upward mobility? So just think about it. Congress just passed a stimulus bill for COVID, but they killed $15 an hour. let me repeat that again. Congress passed 3 COVID bills. I think it just passed 3 COVID bills, trillions, money we don't have necessarily, but they can't figure out right now $15 minimum wage. So you got to look at also the underlying. What's unfortunately happened in a lot of Black and brown community is a lack of opportunity. And then we get into that system. So I feel that this affordable housing, when it passes, Bob, and I said, when it passes, that's just the first layer. We got to peel it down. We got to make sure that our students who attend the Yonkers Public Schools are getting a quality education where they could enter the job force. Unfortunately, a lot of our students, they go to college. We don't know what happens after that. And reality is, many of our students, this is just the hard facts, some students aren't college material. Doesn't make them bad, just makes them, they're not college material. So what are we doing for our Yonkers residents that can't go? Let's train them some hard skills, a welder, a carpenter, give them a hard skill where they're marketable. And that's the issue. So when I think of social justice and we're marching, you have to look at the full spectrum of issues, not just police reform, but the reform the way the city government is functioning and a lack of opportunity that's happening in our most marginalized neighborhoods. And when you look at who's in those marginalized neighborhoods, it's Black and brown people that are getting their door shut in their face.
A follow-up question. So let me just say, I appreciate all of the hellos from the listeners. I can't respond, y'all, because I'm on Facebook punishment. So I'm in Facebook jail. So to Brother John and several others who have said welcome to me in the chat bar. It's good to be with y'all tonight. And that's why I'm not responding. I just tried to respond and got the message.
I don't even want to ask you. I don't even want to ask Zach about what he did.
Yes, you don't want to. And including
speaking truth to power.
So a follow-up question, Council President Khader. I was pleased a couple of years ago when former county legislator Lyndon Williams shared with our listening audience the legislation that he had recently shepherded through the county legislator to ensure that any project that received county funding was mandated to set aside a certain number of jobs for local residents. I don't have all the mechanics of the bill, but it was a step in the right direction to ensure there was a more equitable distribution of the jobs issue. Now, I don't know if City Council in Yonkers is considering such a proposal, but I'd like to know, is that part of the legislative agenda going forward, taking a direction from the laws that were set at the county that maybe we'll be able to follow suit in a city like Yonkers and ensure by statutory requirement that some of these jobs are going to, make it to us? Because as we know, a lot of the time the developers already have in place networks of construction companies, skilled labor that they rely on, that they feel comfortable with, that they've, have established relationships, they vetted the employees. And so in some respect, just from an efficiency perspective, they may, forego seriously considering members of our community who have those skills. And I say this because I got to hustle every now and then and get out and do a little. I'm not a skilled craftsman, but I've cleaned up some garbage and things like that. Leaves. AJ sees me coming through sometimes. From doing some lawnmower jobs. Landscaping stuff. So those are extra streams of revenue. I mean, number one, there are talented people. There are people far more talented than I. Is my point that I'm making. Who I know have advanced crafts trades, but aren't getting a fair shot. And so I want to know if you and the rest of the city council are considering something like that. And if you're not, I want to urge you to please consider putting it on your legislative agenda going forward.
Dr. Bob, first of all, I want to give a quick shout out to Lyndon, now Judge Lyndon Williams. Great guy, real trails, a real trailblazer. A great asset to the Mount Vernon bench. But Bob, I did that. So remember how I was saying the city council sets policy, but then it's the administration that does the operations. So this is one of those examples. So I'm using my hands because I'm getting excited. So it lets you know that we got that synergy. So that synergy that we met in 2017 hasn't left, Dr. Bob. I did it twice. It was a resolution. Yeah, I did it twice, and it passed twice. A resolution calling on the IDA, and the Industrial Development Agency, that gives out these tax breaks to the developers. That one, they got to hire women-owned business, minority-owned business, local-owned business. And I did another resolution to the IDA that they have to use union jobs for these projects that are receiving tax dollar breaks. So the short answer is, Bob, not only are they good ideas, I introduced them and I had them passed. Now they have to be enforced by the people that run the city. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Gotcha. But great,
wonderful.
Great points. We have to make sure that our residents have a chance to swing at the bat. And right now, our residents do not have those opportunities. So it's incumbent upon me to try to make those opportunities for them to succeed. No sound.
Okay, can everybody hear me now? Yes, okay. So as a follow-up question, and Bob started to touch upon this, the reality is we have a lot of students that are not college bound. We need more trade training. I know in school when I was coming up, we had more home ec and auto shop and several other things. And one of the first things that get cut is the arts budget and the music budget and stuff like that. So I don't know the landscape of Yonkers. Are y'all doing more to make people ready for the job field by giving them trades, teaching them a trade that they can go on, if they don't go to college? Is that something going on in Yonkers or something in the works?
Well, AJ, how can I answer this without the Board of Education, and Lorraine, I see that grin. The Board of Education, even though the city council funds the Board of Ed, and that's by charter, we really have zero influence on how they want to manage. But that being said, yes, there is, I believe, like a Vive school where they do some instructional training and things along those lines. But whatever they're doing is not enough. Plain and simple. It's not enough.
Is the city putting other programs together outside of the school to, train our youth in certain?
Well, what just happened recently is, and this is, I don't believe Mount Vernon has one in some other cities. We just created a youth bureau, which I think will open up a lot of doors and a lot of opportunity. This coming budget, AJ, you want me? Okay, yeah, freezes. This coming budget season, we want to make sure that there's adequate funding in there. That way we could open up doors and give, and we're not talking about kids. We're talking about high school, kids who are graduating an opportunity. And a lot of times when I'm in the street, just today, I was out getting signatures and I see them playing. Oh, what are you doing? What else can we do? That's really what it is. If you give most people, you want to hang out or do you want a job? 9 out of 10, I want a job. So there's no opportunity. So what else are you going to do? So it's incumbent that we create these opportunities, particularly, AJ, we're coming out of this COVID. When I ran in 2017, there was no such thing as COVID-19. I'm the only city council to pandemic. And what really had to happen is how do we keep school children safe, make sure that they have internet access, an electronic device. And I generally feel we're turning a corner. We're turning a corner on this COVID. We got this vaccine clinic right there, on North Broadway. I think that is going to be more accessible. Again, from what, not that I got inside information, I think that the state's going to start opening up. Warm weather's around the corner. I think that, I don't want to use the word normal, back to the old normal. Because when you go back to the old normal, things weren't good. I think that 2020 what gave us an opportunity for self-reflection. It didn't create our problems. COVID exposed our problems through the generations of neglect. So what we have to do is, you know what, AJ, Lorraine, everyone on this call, we're set in our ways. What I'm concerned about are the future generations. What's going to happen to us is going to happen. Open up doors for them. When I say them,
absolutely. The youth, yeah. I totally agree. I'm gonna get to a question that came up a little earlier. I didn't get a chance to ask it. Facebook user asked, they're starting to get more concerned about the uptick in violence, especially with guns. What more can be done to do something? With the violence and gun violence and the violence in our streets.
The question about gun violence?
Yes.
And, Yonkers just had on Warburton Avenue. Ironically, I was in that same neighborhood the first day of petitioning. So, listen, violence, particularly gun violence, you could be at the wrong place at the wrong time. But, it crosses all lines. But when you see, I look in Yonkers, I look, everything I do and say is through the lens of Yonkers and social justice, where I see the uptick in violent crime. It's like a triangle where even the calls for service with the police department, 90% of our calls for service are in about a 3-mile radius, where most of the violent crimes are happening. But when you look at it, AJ, it's not just, many of these violent crimes. This one was, I believe the victim was from out of state, and I believe the accused none of them were Yonkers residents based on preliminary reports. But many times the victim and the accused know each other, or there was a beef from the block that escalated. And what we need to do is think outside the box, particularly in a time now when we're talking about police reform. More cops alone is not going to solve the problem. So what we have to think of is 21st century, kind of what I just said a few minutes ago about opportunity for high school, college-bound children. We also have to think about how we police to help avoid these type of situations. Because here's what's probably going to happen. There'll be an increased police presence, for a week, 2 weeks, increased patrol. And then what's going to happen by April 1st? Things go back to normal until the next unfortunate, violent crime. And Dr. I noticed you're shaking because I think that you would tend to agree. Most of these issues, and again, something that I'm proud of is with my connections in the community. Oh, they were beefing for a while. Oh, this happened before. The community's never surprised. Very rare the community's surprised when there's that stabbing or that shooting. So what we need to do is implement some more community-based practices that can de-escalate that before a trigger is fired or before that switchblade is taken out. And again, it goes back to opportunity or lack of opportunity.
Speaking about opportunity, what about programs? Are there any programs for our returning citizens? A lot of people have gone to jail. They've paid their price. Unfortunately, a lot of young people go to jail and they grow up in jail. Then they come out and there's no program or something to welcome them back to the system, to introduce them to the system, to re-implement them into the system. And then you have the street violence and then, recidivism, they go back to jail. Is the city of Yonkers working on returning citizens?
Well, listen, I want to let you know something. The criminal, we're talking about police reform. There's an issue about prison reform. I think right now, it was Senator Sepulveda from the Bronx was talking about ending confinement. I personally know people that have been in the system and came out worse before they went in. Because when you're in the system, it's survival mode. That's really what, you can't be a lone wolf. There's a different a set of laws, and there's a different set of the way you survive in the system. So what Yonkers does is we have CDBG funds, like many municipalities. What we give grants. So like, we have some more, like Greyston Foundation does a great program for reentry and for training. But also we have a lot of new energy. I know there's one called 914 United. Yep. Lorraine, I didn't know Jonathan. I didn't know his story. And, when we got to meet during the pandemic, I was like, no, I don't know who you are, and it was a conversation. So, and I guess what, some people said, oh, they took that step back. I didn't step back. What I did is I took his hand because what he was trying to do. And, so you do have some taken positions, and, 914 United, Jonathan Alvarez is one of them there. So there are, again, it sounds like a broken record. There are opportunities. The issue is there is not enough programming for it. And I think that there's a stigma when somebody that's coming out of the state system. It's one thing. It's one thing to do 90 days in Valhalla as opposed to when you got state time under your belt. So there are programs, but it's clearly not enough. And the programs that are there are not getting the proper funding. So what happens is you come out of the system, you check in with your parole officer or your probation officer to a lack of training. They put you in some confinement or a halfway house, but you're not really setting up the person to succeed and truly be independent. So what happens is what you just said, the recidivism. So what we have to, as a community, to create a community fabric is, and don't go back in there. Make them an asset and have them contribute to the community and not to be a drain on the community.
Right.
Deep questions, AJ. Deep
I want to give a
questions.
quick shout out. You mentioned Greyston. Right. You mentioned Greyston. I just had the opportunity to meet Joe Kenner in a small business roundtable that we did with Congressman Jamal Bowman, and me and him sat and had a chat afterwards. And I like the work that they're doing. I was unaware of the work they were doing, but I definitely like the work that Greyston is doing. And the bakery has the most incredible brownies. They just sent me a whole box of brownies too. So shout out to Joe Kenner, shout out to Greyston.
No, they got some good brownies. It is addicting. It is addicting. I hoard them. I keep them for myself. But Greyston does a lot of work for our residents and reentry. They do a lot of great advocacy through our community government, through Lucy Moreno Casanova, with a lot of our undocumented residents. It's so, unfortunately, we don't have dozens of Greystons out there. We need to create them. And when they're created, we need to make sure that they're funded through federal and state funds.
Absolutely. Anything I didn't ask you that you want people to know, and speaking to the residents, the voters, why should they vote for you for re-election?
Okay, wow. Okay. So what do they want to know? So you asked two different questions at one time. The one, two questions. Anything I didn't ask you that you want us to know? That was one, and then two, why should the residents of Yonkers vote for you for re-election? AJ, I'm going on my 4th year in office, and for most of that, half of it, we're going to be in a pandemic. I don't care where you went. I don't care what experience you have, what degree you have. You can never.
We're losing you, Mike.
Be prepared for what COVID did to our city. And in 2020, not just Yonkers. Hello? Can you guys hear me? The screen just went dark.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Oh, Oh, you haven't? All right. It just went dark. Hey, okay, thanks. Asia, I'm going to take it from the top. In my 3 years in office, year and a half of it will have been in pandemic. I don't care what experience, what degree, what qualifications you have. I am the only city council president that has been successfully able to govern this city and the city council during the pandemic. I advocated and I even called out the governor when there was no testing site on Ashburn and Avenue. I called out the numbers. When you look at the 10701, the 10704 numbers, and the 10705 numbers, the numbers didn't lie. Before people were talking about the disparity in the Black and brown community, I was talking about it with the mayor. Look where it's happening. So again, going back to not only education, social justice and stuff, but health equity, the lack of health equity in our marginalized neighborhoods. I started talking about it. We're starting to turn the corner. My re-election is going to be about relief for residents and small business, building our city from paving roads and infrastructure, reforming the certain city departments, be it the Board of Education or the building department. We need a city government. We need a city government that is connected to the people and works for the people, and not a select few. AJ, plain and simple. 3 years is not enough time for me to finish the job. Many of our problems, and I want everyone to record this, are generational. They're systemic. They're cultural. And 3 years is just not enough time. That being said, we're working on it, and the change is happening. But you can't compare 30 years of systemic insensitivities, 30 years of cultural biases can't be fixed in 3 years during a pandemic. If the voters believe in my past actions and my voting record, you will see that I'm prepared and ready, and I have a plan to lead us out of this recovery, where this is a Yonkers for everyone, where every resident, small business, and student has an opportunity to succeed. That's my message to you and your listeners.
Lorraine, Bob, any last questions?
Mike, I know that we're in the petition process where you're collecting signatures for the campaign to get on the ballot. Can you, and you're citywide, so therefore, if you're a Democrat or eligible to sign a petition, can you tell us how to contact someone from your camp, and also how to contact you as a city council president?
Okay. For government stuff, you need that pothole fixed. Then pick up your garbage. Please call city council offices, 914-377-6060. If you call, leave a message, somebody will get back to you. If you want to do email, very easy. It's council president, one word, at yonkersny.gov. Council president at yonkersny.gov. The phone number is 914-377-6060. That's for any constituent problems, issues, or concerns. Concerning the campaign, thank you, Lorraine, so much for that. I have a website. It's called Vote Khader, VOTE, my last name, Khader, KHADER.com. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. My handle is Mike J. Khader. I think I got most of you on some level, stuff, but it's Mike J. Khader. Shoot me a message. Let me know if you want to sign. I'll come by. Don't be surprised if it's me. Tell me what time you want to be there. I'd love to. He wants me to get that second term. I hate the politics, Lorraine. AJ, to be honest with you, I'm bad at the politics of it. But you know what? It's the governance. When I know that I go home at nighttime, and you know what? I helped that person today. It's that feeling of being rewarding yourself for doing something good for others. That's why I want that second term, because I know that I'm the most qualified. I have a track record of doing it. So please reach out, hit me up, tell me what I'm doing good. I'll continue to do it. Tell me what I'm doing bad, so I'll stop doing it. But I want to hear from everyone, good, bad, and ugly.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I want
you,
to
Lorraine.
thank you for your time, for coming through. And I also want to make a comment. I know when we did the interview for your first term when you were running, I did ask you if you won that you would come back and you would stay in touch and let us know what's going on. And you pretty much have done that. And you're one of the handful of elected officials that if I contact you for a comment or I have a concern or something, even though I'm not a Yonkers resident, you'll get back to me at some point in time. And you do, I can't say that for all of our elected officials in the county, but you are one of the ones that do get back to me. It could be just because I'm pressed, but you do always get back to me, and I appreciate that. So I wanted to put that out there.
No, thank you so much, AJ. I wish I had more time in the day. Now, and I'm not looking for sympathy, but many times, if I don't get back in time, it's never mind, my family, the 3 kids, a wife, I got the law practice, I got the city council stuff, you're dealing with the politics. So it's never, I wish I was out drinking and chilling and playing golf and, behind closed doors. I'm probably doing something else. If there was something that I wish I could improve on, is take that call right away when they call or answer that text right away. But I generally try to get back to people in time. Sometimes it's not right away, but you will never be ignored. You will get a response back. So I appreciate that. And that goes for anyone throughout Westchester.
Well, thank you for your time. I wish you the best. Bob, so you put your finger up.
Yeah, I didn't want to allow you to depart without asking you one last important final social justice question that I think is on the minds of many New Yorkers today. I know many municipalities are racing to complete the report that the governor required under Executive Order 203 through the policing reform commissions that were set up. I haven't heard much news about any of the impending reports and what kind of substantive recommendations they're going to make. Unfortunately, Yonkers has had a reputation as being a city where excessive use of force is occurs too often. And so I wanted to know, Council President, although, can you tell us anything about the actual status of the Reform Commission? Is there channels for significant input to the public? Do you have a role, or does the council have a role on the commission itself? And, are you anticipating any major proposals that you think we should be aware of, in the days ahead?
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Bob. And you kind of added great context. Governor Cuomo issued a mandate, I believe it was in August or September of 2020, where each municipality had to create this reform committee. Last week, the Yonkers Reform Committee, it was 2 weeks ago. I misspoke. Last week was just a blur. The week before, Yonkers committee submitted their report. It has 22 recommendations. I think it's a good start. I always try to talk. I think it's a good start. I think that it leaves a lot to be desired. But the more important issue, Dr. Bob, is I want to be clear about, and I've spoken to Lorraine and AJ about this. I'm personally invested in police reform. As many people are aware, and many are not, my nephew died in police custody. So not only me personally, my family's invested in this. So I do recognize, yes, there's a balance of safety, but I also know for a fact, because I've experienced it, that a lot of our Black and brown community are targeted or treated differently because of the color of their skin and not the content of their character. So where that report is now, I believe, again, I could get you the date. I believe either the public comment is about to close or may have just closed. Eventually what happens is the city council is going to vote on that. It will be sometime probably in late March, and then it has to be up in the governor's office by the April 1st. But Dr. Bob, I also want to also point out that even before the governor issued that EO, that executive order that you made reference to, I remember I spoke publicly about we need reform at the local level, where it became to a civilian complaint review board with subpoena power. Because without subpoena power, a civilian complaint review board, it's window dressing. It feels good. We were talking about body cameras. So the only reason why I stopped talking about it, but I was monitoring it, is because of the governor's executive order. So I'm monitoring it. I'm tracking it. It will come to the city council for a vote. Again, it's a start. I think that once we vote on it, it's not something you put in your desk. We constantly have to revisit it. We need to make sure that best practices are being done in community policing. And also we need to make sure that we start talking about the mental health component of community policing, which is sorely missed at the local level. Thumbs up, appreciate that. So I don't know if that's a thumbs up you like or thumbs up, cut it out. Many times many of our residents, they're in distress. Many times our residents are in distress. So, it could be addiction. It could be victims of domestic violence. It could be, there's always a underlying issue. So Khader, as they call responding, doesn't necessarily solve the problem. If anything, it can escalate the problem. What you need are the right professionals responding to these type of calls. And I think that's what's lacking. The county, Yonkers has to lead the way. We got to be proactive and not reactive. So from implicit bias training to community policing of a police force that's reflective of the city, that has the training to help the needs of the city. So this is not check off the box, Dr. Bob, and put it away. It's a constant, let's reevaluate. We don't need a tragedy to reevaluate. It should be part of our normal process to making sure that the residents are getting the best service and they truly feel safe. No one should be pulled over or have any encounter with law enforcement and fear for their life. So I want to close off with, I am monitoring it. I'm invested in it, and we're gonna get it done the right way, not just get it done. So thank you for that question, Dr. Bob.
I do have one last question. It was from the audience. What are we doing about fixing the sidewalks in Yonkers? The handicap curbs for the wheelchairs are in desperate need of repair.
Okay, that's first important. You want to walk. So remember how earlier we were talking about what the city council does? So let's just say that came in through an email at that council president, or a resident calls them and says, listen, I live at 123 Main Street. So we will put an order in. So something with sidewalk will go to engineering. When it comes to basic repairs, we put it in, and they'll get it out in time. What I'll ask that resident is, if I gave the information, give us the street, give us the location, and we'll make sure that traffic and engineering, because anything with curb cuts or sidewalks, it's a engineering issue, not DP, a paving issue. So send over the information and we'll look into it.
Okay. Thank you.
Again, council president at YonkersNY.gov.
Thank you very much once again for coming on the show and responding to our residents, and good luck in your election. And I look forward to when you win, a continued relationship of you coming on and speaking to the audience and letting us know the issues in Yonkers.
You're part of the family.
AJ, thank you so much, Double L. AJ, thank you so much for always extending yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm only a text away, a call away. And Dr. Bob, I'm sure we're going to cross paths hopefully soon. And I appreciate your spirit and your questions. And I look forward to talking soon.
And thank you for including me in that MLK video. Very, very good job. The MLK video and then the Black History Month video.
The music video.
Yeah, very, very good.
Amazing.
Very good practice.
Yeah. What? Thank you so much for both of you for participating in that. Every year since I took office, we had concerts in the library, and we were actually debating: should we just cancel it and postpone it? And then, I'm very fortunate with the staff that I have. They think outside the box, and they were like, "Listen, it'll be a little, it's a little logistically hard, but let's give some deadlines and let's make a virtual concert." And it was a hit. Thank you for being a part of it, and you will continue to be a part of any outreach. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Peace, love, and blessings, everyone.
Right.
I hope I can have your support. Sorry.
No, I said if we were in the studio right now, I'd be hitting the applause button, but we're not in the studio no more. So,
Thank you so much. I'm not taking nothing for granted. It's gonna, we're gonna work hard, and I'm gonna earn every vote. Peace, love, stay safe, mask up, get your vaccine. God bless.
God bless. God bless.
Absolutely. Good luck to you, Council President.
Take care, everybody.
That was Yonkers Council
Thank you so much,
President.
Dr. Bob.
Okay. That was Yonkers Council President Mike Khader. He's running for re-election in the upcoming primary. He's facing a primary challenger, which I'm not sure if we've extended the invitation for that person to come, but
She's been here. She's been here. She was one of the first ones here.
Okay. So she's all right. So you've heard from his opponent, and now you heard from him, and hopefully it will help there to be more for you, the voter, to make more informed decisions. Now, I had one or two people. I need to know, for the people that are listening, can you hear each of us clearly? Because I was told by one or two people that they just couldn't hear at all. And they couldn't hear certain people. So I just want to know, if everybody just let me know with a thumbs up, say I can hear, everything's good, you can hear us clearly, let us know, and I appreciate that. Now we're going to get, go ahead.
Wait. I just want to let Dr. Bob know, and anybody listening, the police reform board concluded their report. If you go on the City of Yonkers website, you'll see their finalized report. It's about, I think, 32 pages. Maybe I'm not sure how many pages, but it's on the website for the community, for the people to read.
Okay.
Thank you, Lord.
What's up? So this is the portion where we are people before politics, and we're going to deal with some of the issues that the people are talking about. Some of the current news items. I know one of the things we were discussing all individually and collectively was the situation with our governor, and I had personally got a couple of emails, and I showed one to Bob. I think yesterday or the day before, where the person was saying that they were disappointed in Senator Majority Leader Andrew Stewart Cousins because she said if one more case he needs to step down, and they were like, oh, so 2 or 3 is okay, and I don't think that was the thing. But the bottom line is that Lorraine just told me there was 2 more cases, and I saw on MSNBC today she is now calling for him to step down. So I just wanted to, I know Lorraine wanted to talk about that. Me and Bob have talked about it. So I just figured we could chop it up a little bit about the governor and the situation and how everybody feels about it.
AJ, can I read Andrea's statement real quick?
Please, please, please.
All right. So from Senator Andrea Stewart Cousins, her statement reads, every day there is another account that is drawn away from the business of government. We have allegations about sexual harassment, a toxic work environment, the loss of credibility surrounding the COVID-19 nursing home data, and questions about the construction of a major infrastructure project. That one is new to me. New York is still in the midst of this pandemic and is still facing the societal, health, and economic impacts of it. We need to govern without daily distraction. For the good of the state, Governor Cuomo must resign. That was Senator Andrea Stewart Cousins after the other two women came forward today.
So yeah, two more women. That's a bit much. I still, I'm torn on the whole thing because I believe facts matter. And if there is going to be an independent investigation led by the Attorney General or someone she appoints, I believe, and this is not to make any excuses, if he's guilty, he's guilty. But I believe we should wait for the facts to come in before we all jump off bridges and start judging. I mean, we do have you're supposed to be innocent and still proven guilty in this country. And that should be afforded to the governor as well. I know he rubbed some people the wrong way. I know he's been accused of bullying and a lot of other things. And I say this as someone who has not and is not a fan of the governor. I'm not a fan of the governor at all. I think he did a good job with the COVID response and showing leadership, but the bar was very low when Trump was president. The bar was very low, so it wasn't too hard to do a better job than that. But other than that, I'm not a fan of his. But even not being a fan, I think we should wait until the investigation is over. And if he's guilty, then by all means, dude got to go. You know what I'm saying? But I know a lot of times we in this cancel culture real quick. We've had a lot of people who have stepped down just from allegations. I was sorry to see Snyderman step down just amid some allegations. And he's never been charged for anything. Maybe that was the deal if he stepped down. I don't know. But we should wait. And I mean, that's my take right now. I think we should wait until the facts come out. You know what I'm saying? And the women should be heard.
Okay. Now, Assemblyman Speaker Carl Hasty also made a statement today. He didn't necessarily say that he should resign, but he did say that he agreed with a lot of what the senator was speaking of. But before we have this discussion, let's just go. I just want real quickly the 5 women. Charlotte Burnett was a former executive assistant, and her claim is that he asked about her sex life and whether or not she slept with older women. Lizzie Boyhan.
Older
men. Sorry.
That was a whole other show there. Older women. That's a whole other
show. Okay, I'm not even gonna go there. Sorry. Fortunately slip. Okay. Lindsay Boylan claims that he sexually harassed her for years. Anne Rush. She says he placed his hand on her face and asked to kiss her and made her really uncomfortable. Karen Hinton said that he called her into the hotel room. Now, this one, he called her into the hotel room and they were by themselves. He hugged her. She pulled back. He pulled her back to squeeze her tightly. And this is an allegation that happened 21 years ago. He claims she's an antagonist and she's been attacking him for years. And then we got Annalise. Now, she said he once hugged her, kissed her on both cheeks, and grabbed her by the waist for a photo. I you know, I would, some of them make me say, really, well, that was inappropriate. But some of them I do have to, I myself question. But, I put all faith in Andrea. She's my leader. She's the person that I voted for to represent me. And if she feels a certain way, then, you know, she's got to, I support her. I support her as a woman. I support her as my leader. Not that he isn't.
Right. I've been critical of our attorney general as well. But I do believe for some reason this may be an investigation that is thoroughly done. She will do a thorough job on this particular investigation. And I mean, and some of it may be political because she has aspirations to be governor too. But I do believe she's going to do a thorough job, and I want to wait for the results. Now, if she doesn't do a thorough job and stuff doesn't come out, and I have a problem, but right now I'd like to wait before I get too critical. I personally just want to see the facts. I want to hear the claims. And one woman said, and I don't remember the names, I thank Lorraine for saying their names. I think that's very important. We talk about accusers and all that stuff. We never say, so saying the name is important. Humanizing them a little bit, that's important. But one woman said she wasn't going to say nothing until she found out that he was Biden's choice for attorney general. You know what I'm saying? So, some people are questioning, is that political? Is that the reason you coming out at all or coming out now? Because that was in one of her comments. So, Bob, I know you have, Lorraine, I heard you.
Just one more thing. He said he is not going to resign today. He said it's all political. He said there's a political season right now, and that if we're going to start speaking about allegations and complaints, he says, let's open up all the accusations with the current Senate and with other elected officials in New York State. He says there are a lot. And if we're going to start speaking about it, let's just let it all out in the open and let everybody know who's been accused of what.
Dr. Bob.
So while we're fortunate to live in a country that affords people due process for both administrative hearings and criminal proceedings where one could possibly be penalized with forfeiture of your freedom, the requirements of ethical leadership are entirely different. The governor knows whether or not he has engaged in an act of sexual harassment. And I want to say to everyone who is listening, as a college professor and instructor, my classrooms, they're at Bronx Community College, are 66% women. I am a man. But the most important thing to me is to create a climate that ensures the young ladies and some who are older and close approaching my age, that I create a climate classroom and outside the classroom that can allow them to flourish. Moreover, I have a continuing relationship with my responsibilities to them that extend beyond the classroom. I was late today because one of my former students, a woman, called me to ask for assistance as she now considers applying to graduate school. I say that, everyone, because I am well aware that I need to, I need to act at the highest ethical standards so that no woman who is under my tutelage, quite frankly, ever feels that my support for her and interest in her has anything to do other than my desire to help her expand on all her talents. And insofar as, and this is important because you want to tell it, no one is ever going to accuse me of sexual harassment. It won't happen because I act accordingly.
That's it.
Now, if
That's
I
it.
were accused of sexual harassment, I would surely insist that I be afforded my due process rights to clear my name because I know that is what would happen. I would be cleared. Unfortunately, too many men who are accused of sexual harassment through reports that make it into the media, which are in fact fact-finding body that do follow protocols to try to ensure that gossip is not published, but rather some substantiated factual claims. You see, and therefore, it's terribly irresponsible of men, but also women who may find themselves in this position, and we know we're hearing more reports of this, is terribly irresponsible for either men or women who were witness to their own behavior to try to invoke, these cherished rights that we do have in order to, for their own selfish reasons, to maintain their current plan and to try to evade responsibility and accountability for what they have done wrong. I feel pretty certain that after I don't care what the Attorney General's motivations are. I don't care what the Republican Party members' motivations are. The fact of the matter is that the governor may well have simply provided them with ammunition, convenient reason to remove an enemy and opponent. That's not the issue for us. The issue for us to consider is whether or not the governor has an ethical responsibility to me and you, all our viewers, all the residents of New York, to make sure that he does nothing to impede good governance at a time of crisis. And I think, all things being equal, I have no reason to doubt that when everything comes out in the wash, the governor will have acted inappropriately. I've had discussions with friends, and I may be a certain type of guy, I happen to be very much a gentleman and a scholar. I mean, that's me. I have a certain way of hitting on a woman. If I want a woman to know, I want to get with you, it's not going to be the same as some other men. And it may be a little bit more delicate and subtle and respectful. But I have a way of conveying those things. But one thing I'm going to do, you're not going to hear reports of me putting my hands all on a woman's lower back. You ain't going to hear nothing about Bob asking someone, oh, eat that sausage. That's inappropriate. It's
the sausage thing got me. The sausage thing got me too. Eat the whole sausage. Let me see you put the whole sausage in your mouth. That got me too.
I was talking with some of my friends who have daughters. And I said, if your daughter was in that situation, the single most powerful elected official in New York State is, hitting on you in ways that are not subtle. It is inappropriate. I'm not asking no 20-year-old woman, oh, have you ever said an older man? Especially if you fall under, hold on, if we hanging out, shorty, we there, we whatever. You want to see, maybe that's dinner something, but you're my subordinate or my student? No.
That's the issue too.
That particular young lady said that he asked her that after she confessed to him that she was a victim of sexual assault and that her job helped her get her confidence back. And she was grateful to him because her job was helping her overcome her trauma.
So he wanted to find out how grateful she was, huh? So
Hi, Jay.
You know, and you know me, man. Listen, I have very high standards for myself, and therefore everyone else. And I think, you know, when we make mistakes, there's been mistakes in life I've made. I've been very open and transparent when I come on the show. One of the most critical mistakes I made as a younger man, sold crack on the street of Mount Vernon. I was convicted of 2 felony drug possession charges. And I had to my time and, you know, make amends to society. And should I have made other mistakes as well and you know, called on the carpet and required to be accountable, I hope that I'm mature enough to know that you should not drag down my entire team and the larger mission of the organizations that I'm a part of by insisting on trying to delay the inevitable, by insisting on due process rights, etc. When I know in the end there will be credible evidence uncovered that I in fact was guilty. Unless we are to believe that you see, it's one thing on women, and that's why, because we're starting to see a pattern in practice here. And one in the list, what we're looking for is corroborating evidence. There's one thing if you have a single person make a claim, but when you start multiple people making the same claims, then that's right. Then that means that, hey, now we're not a court of law. Either is the governor is not in a court of law right now. And so that very high bar may not be appropriate considering all that is at stake. And so I urge Governor Cuomo to seriously reflect on the incidences that occurred, to search his memory, and to search all the ethical standards that have been passed down to him by the Catholic Church, by his family, by the Italian community from which he hails, and see if you know, by his father's standards, many will remember fondly, to see whether or not he hasn't fallen short. And if he has, he needs to voluntarily resign for the good of not just New York State, but for the good of the country.
One of the things he did say, like you said, he knows if he did this or not. So in his first public statement, he said, so, you know, he has that old school way, the Italian way of, you know, hugging and kissing people, men and women, you know, when he greets them and all this and all that. And he did not know that what he was doing was offensive or making anyone feel uncomfortable. And me and Damon talked about this on VOX. I do understand it's hard for a single dude or a single female, anyway, a single person to have any kind of a social life because you're in the press all the time. But that being said, and everybody talks about you meet your people at your workplace, when you're the highest person and everybody is a subordinate of you, you can't meet people at your workplace. You understand what I'm saying? And what Bob said, you do have to protect your actions and conduct yourself in a certain light because of who you are. And, you know, so I 100% agree with you. Nicole Benjamin said, thankfully, Senator Biaggi's legislation has lessened the burden of proof for victims from the high bar of severe and persuasive workplace sexual harassment.
All right, can I say a couple of things?
Please,
AJ,
please.
AJ, piggybacking on what you said, that he said one of his first statements were, I apologize if any women felt uncomfortable with my behavior, if they misunderstood me. And that to me was him putting the blame on the woman. It's your fault because you misunderstood me. And I said, whoever he is speaking to, whoever is advising him, he's not saying the right thing because he's passing the buck back on the person that says they are a victim. Um, Two is they just rescinded his emergency powers, executive um, emergency powers through COVID. The Senate did, and I believe the Assembly. And something else, I hate the hearing. Well, look at Trump. Trump had 26 and he got away with it. And this is a Republican thing. Well, no. Trump got away with it because the Republicans let him get away with it. If you're a Democrat and you felt that way about Trump, then you have a responsibility to have that same the same opinion with your own with a Democrat and just and we have pushed the Republicans and we blame the Republicans for Trump getting away with a lot of what he did. The Democratic Party should not do the same. They have a responsibility, and you if you talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. And this is not coming. Yeah, there are Republicans calling for him to resign. Yeah, but this is majority Democrats doing it. It's not the Republicans trying to set him up. It's not Trump. I mean, I'm sure Trump is having a field day, and I'm sure he's involved somewhere. But this Trump don't speak to Andrea. Trump don't speak to Hasty. He don't speak to Shelley Mayer. He don't speak to them. It's not no. This is coming from them. And I think we need to be clear on that because people keep saying, "Oh, it's the Republicans." It's not.
Well, there's another thing too. So with Trump, a lot of things had happened in the past. One of the things I think me and Damon were talking. One of these allegations is 2019. That's after Me Too. Like how me and Bob, we were talking about there's a new lens that we see things through after George Floyd. There's a new lens we see things through after Me Too. And to have done this after Me Too kind of makes you very insensitive. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not aware of the climate that you are in.
It's like yeah, he's part of that old school mafia politic mentality. And to me it's like he didn't get the memo. The guy didn't get the memo. It changed. But we'll see what happens.
Moreover, I just want to add that. I'm sorry, Lorraine.
No, I'm done. I'm done. Thank you, Blau.
Okay. I wanted to add that under New York state law, public employees have an affirmative responsibility to make sure that they are aware of current sexual harassment policy. And I mention this because I did see that suggested that Governor Cuomo had someone else do his sexual harassment, mandatory sexual harassment policy training that we're all required to undergo.
Oh, wow.
And insofar as he did that, yeah, I mean, insofar as if he did that, then that means that he essentially was really blind about what the current requirements are. But, again, I don't think you need to be, you don't need to take sexual harassment training programs in order to know that's inappropriate for you to hit upon someone who is under your direct supervision. We ought to be aware enough now today to know that it's going to make people uncomfortable. I was watching a piece program 9 to 5 the other day, and it's about the women's movement and some of the early experiences that women had as they entered the workplace. And there were many women who were recounting. The lady was like basically like the her prospective employer interviewed her and said, "Look, if you want this job, you got to sleep with me," and it's just not right. It's not right. Everyone, is not right. And I'm going to say this to guys. I think guys in particular, because we because at least in our own minds, our sex drive is stronger or different from that of women. We tend to want to make allowance for this type of behavior. And I don't think that we really fully appreciate how traumatic and detestable how such an experience can be. You know what? I mean, think about if a woman hits on you or grabs on you, that you don't welcome her attention. Or if you're a guy, think about if a guy who was gay hit on you. How you would feel? Because I know all my friends will be knocking motherfuckers out, a lot of straight guys, and you know it. If a dude who was gay hit on you, you ready to fight. You would say to yourself, it's absolutely unacceptable for someone for whom I have no sexual desire to even look at me in that way. And I think that's an appropriate analogy to begin to think about how many women are meant to feel as they are objectified.
Now, add Bob, I just want to insert this real quick. Add to what you're saying. The guy hitting on you, the gay guy hitting on you, is your boss and has the power to fire you if you don't sleep with them or let them do what they're doing to you. Like that's the scenario we're talking about. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you're sitting here like you don't want to lose your job because you need it, but you don't want to do that. That's the scenario guys need to hear. Like this, and this powerful person is like, right. You do this for me, or yo, you're gonna find you a new job. Like basically, that's the scenario right there. I just wanted to add that addition to what you were saying. Oh, 5-0.
And I therefore think we gotta challenge ourselves to be better. You want me to tell what? When I'm generally, you know what? I'd like to think that no woman ever thinks that unless she wants to know that I'm digging her, that I want her. I don't want any mannerisms or anything else to ever suggest that I am sexually objectifying her. You know, if she's shapely, I know I cannot oogle her and stare at her. That's not appropriate. And we have to recognize that we have to make changes. You know, in our community as men, we have to have those conversations and stuff. I think our standards of behavior are far too low sometimes. In this instance, for sure.
And I want to also add to that. We talk about the old school, the way it used to be. Yeah, a whole lot of things, the way it used to be, were legal then that are not legal now. Like, you know what I'm saying? That were acceptable then that they're not acceptable no longer. You understand what I'm saying? That was just so.
The
just
culture change, yeah.
Just the way slavery was accepted, it was the law, it was acceptable, but that wasn't, you know what I'm saying? So for someone to say they want to do it now because that's the way it used to be done, I mean, you know, we think we have new laws, we grow, and we have to like it or not, we have to adjust to the new norms, and we're in a different time now, and Me Too, the Me Too movement has definitely changed the climate overall, that everybody should be on their P's and Q's if you're a person in power, especially. You understand what I'm saying? That you don't put yourself in the position. Now, while I was sad to see Snyderman go, especially because of current investigations, I did respect that he did not want the allegations that he said were not true to interfere with the importance of the work the office was doing, so he stepped down. I think we had a senator or something too, like that too. They were never, one of them was found not guilty. Eventually, they found that they didn't do it, but they didn't want the allegations to take away from the work that was being done or tarnish the office. So they just stepped down so they wouldn't even be a distraction. You know what I'm saying? So I do respect that about Snyderman and others. And there may be, you know, 5 women, no matter how you look at it, it's not gonna go good for the governor, period. Like it's just like he's not gonna sweep this under the rug. 5 people, and the day we're in now, it's not gonna get swept, under the rug. And the Democrats ain't giving them the pass that Republicans gave Trump. So
Yeah, exactly. I think Andrea, Senator Cousins, I think she just about had enough. I mean, if you look at the common denominator of everything that's happening with the governor, we're talking about the nursing home death and how it was handled. We're talking about his bullying and intimidation to other elected officials, to his staff, demeaning the men in his staff, saying they're soft in front of folks in meetings. The sexual allegations coming. Something going on with the infrastructure that he is supposedly it's not something's not legit there. All of it and his behavior, the way he carries himself, all of it comes back down to power. And this man is in love with power. He was raised by his father to be like that. This is how he was raised. That's all he knows. And when things started changing, the man's like he almost stayed a dinosaur. I don't know how like he's still playing that role that is no longer acceptable. And that's almost like a mafia boss. That's what it sounds like. I'm not saying all of it's true, but I think that Andrea, like these women, I think that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. There's a lot more than these 5 women, these sexual allegations that's going on in Albany. There was trouble in paradise, I believe, before this.
Absolutely, she had her own experience with Cuomo, where he threw his power around, where she should have been the majority leader because they had the numbers, and he supported the formation of that splinter group. What were they called? The Klein and all of them. That split, he was in support. He was in support of that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? There was a big thing that came out about that with him trying to not let Andrea have that power. There was a big thing. Me and Damon did a story. We support Andrea because of some stuff the governor was saying and some of his actions. And I can't remember the whole thing, but yeah, he was in support of that. And then when it became not popular, then he dropped them like a hot potato and act like, he ain't had nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he stepped to the side. But, she should have been the majority leader a couple of years earlier had it not been for the governor support. So that was him throwing his power around to stop a black woman from being in a position that she was supposed to be in. So yeah, Andrea there is some history. Yeah, there is some.
And
history.
I gotta tell you, what I don't know what happened, but he pissed Tish James off too.
Well, the whole women's movement and Tish James. That's what I said. I joked, about her wanting to be governor. That was, that is true. But I was joking about that. But I have no doubt that while I have not always been a fan of Tish James and I've been critical of her choices not to investigate certain things, I don't have no doubt that she is going to do a thorough investigation into this. Like, she's going to do her due diligence in this situation. And there's too many things. So, the thing might be to step down, but for the good old boys, the powerful, the white man that's in power, that him stepping down is another nightmare because then the lieutenant governor is a female, and you would have your first female in that position, and they know them good old boys that are the type that were at the insurrection. Those type of people don't want to see that either. So they rather help him sweep this under the rug than see that. We're coming to the close. Any last words on this or any other topics? Yeah.
I wanted to just add another point that we need to take into mind when we view this. Remember, everyone, this isn't just a matter of this isn't an important matter merely because of the impact that it has on the victim of sexual harassment, but rather also has an indirect impact on us insofar as it may well undermine effective teamwork and getting the best and brightest, including the best and brightest women, to serve on in positions of leadership. When they were in Richard's campaign, we had the pleasure of serving alongside extremely talented women who had tremendous skill, dedication, perseverance, sophistication to try to do a job. And I mean, the two people in particular I have in mind, because I worked very closely with, were Tanya Holt and Akila Wilson. And
shout out to them.
Shout out to them. And I take immense pride in the fact that, I to the extent that I had responsibility, and I have responsibility for me, but we created a climate where they could flourish, and they contributed to that team and made it more successful. And similarly, some of the women who were serving under the governor represent New York State's best and brightest, and we lost when they were driven out, because I think at least one woman said that she did not want women to resign. She just couldn't continue to work under the governor under those circumstances. And at a moment of crisis, we paid a price. Is that perhaps why the governor subsequently made the fatal misstep of covering over and essentially doctoring some of the numbers about COVID in our nursing homes? Maybe if he would have had her counsel and her sharp eye there to make sure this particular aspect of New York State governance and policy was being managed, then maybe we wouldn't be dealing with the aftermath of revelations that the man just totally basically like they lied about it. It's unacceptable. And we need to hold the governor to account, and he needs to hold himself accountable.
Now, I wanna Brother John made a comment, and I definitely wanted to address that. He said Governor Cuomo don't plan to sweep it under the rug. He plays dirty. He gonna try to bring everybody down that do not support him. Listen, he said he has information, and that is sort of his playbook. That is, unfortunately, that's the playbook. Like other people have said, he was a bully in some situations. It's like, yo, I'm not going nowhere, and anybody who try to bring it to me, I'm gonna take them down. I got stuff on you too. That's the stuff that led
He's
to
angry.
people. That's the stuff that led to people like J. Edgar Hoover, who was there 40 years in power. He had dirt on everybody, so you couldn't remove him or do something. He had dirt on everybody and everything related to them. So yeah, bring that with me, and I'm gonna bring you down as well. I'm gonna take you down with me. You know what I'm saying?
He's warning people, yeah.
Right. So I just wanted John mentioned that twice. Because he also said he was gonna pull a 6ix9ine, Tekashi 6ix9ine.
You rat on me, I'm a rat on all of y'all.
I'm a rat on everybody. Yeah. So I definitely wanted to bring that, and that's where we are right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we have a lot of things going on. We don't need the distraction. At some point, he got a decision to make, and if he doesn't make the right decision, our legislators have the people that have that kind of power. They have a decision. They need to make a decision. You know what I'm saying? So I'm interested to see what everybody thinks. Y'all can hit us. You can keep leaving comments in the comment section. I always do check after the show. Like people listen after they watch it when it's not live, and they continue to leave comments. So definitely keep leaving your comments, or you can reach out to us at blackwestchester@gmail.com. And if you want to keep the conversation going. Shout out to a few people. Shout out to Kyle Munez. How do you pronounce Kyle's last name? I know I messed it up. Bob. Kyle, what's his last name?
Whose last name?
Kyle.
Oh, Kyle Munoz.
Okay, I know I didn't say it right.
Kyle
so sorry, Kyle.
Munoz. Yes.
Sorry, Kyle. Hector Santiago, Brother John Morrison, Nicole Benjamin, Jonathan Campazano, Nancy Cater Maldonado, Reverend Darren M. Morton, Maura Rowley, Councilwoman Shanae Williams, Sabrina Gray, Craig Frazier, one of my dudes from back in the days. What's up, my man? Lois Bastin, Lisa Clark, Norman. She said, "Hey, great work, guys." Johnny Limo, Latanya Baptist Young, Shelly Weisinger, and everybody else who's tuned in. We greatly appreciate you. This is episode 290, People Before Politics. And Hector said, what did Hector write? He was like, I posted his comment. He said something like this is the best weekly wrap-up. The best, the best weekly, this is the best weekly wrap-up. I appreciate you all. We appreciate you too,
buddy.
Hector. So any last words, and we're getting out of here.
Shout out to Stephanie Swan.
AJ, you want to tell
hanging out for her comments.
Continue, Lorraine, and then Bob. Go ahead.
No, that was it. That's it. Thank you. Great show.
Shout out to Stephanie. I think I didn't say her name. Shout out to Stephanie.
No, that's why I said her name. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. What up, Bob? Brooklyn Bob.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just getting warmed up, so I wait for the show to end. I enjoyed the discussion. There are a number of other important issues on the plate, and so I look forward to joining y'all in the week to continue these discussions with our audience.
By the way, we're doing on the Tuesday show, Super Tuesdays, candidates running for office in Westchester County. Hit me up, please, so that we can schedule you in.
Thank you, Lorraine. Yes. We have a Super Tuesday edition of People Before Politics where we're interviewing a lot of the candidates. There are too many to get on our Sunday show. It would be nothing but candidates. So most of the candidates will appear on Tuesday at 6 o'clock in our Super Tuesday edition, which like this broadcast on Facebook and YouTube. You catch us every Tuesday. Tune in. If there's some candidates you want to see, definitely hit Lorraine Lopez.
Or you, or any one of us.
Right, yeah. Hit us up and leave a comment in the comment section, whatever, and we'll try to make that happen. Candidates, if you're running and you want to be scheduled, make sure you reach out to Lorraine so she can get you on the schedule. That's it, man. Episode 290, man. Bob, 10 episodes away from 300, bro. 10 more episodes.
Right. I can't wait. Yo, hold on. You want to send over the champagne? So me and Lorraine could toast you. Are you going to send me and Lorraine a bottle of champagne so we could toast you?
See, there go Bob. So Bob's aunt congratulated me last night as a late birthday gift and for winning the fellowship. She sent over a bottle of champagne, and that's what Bob talking about. So, no, I haven't even opened it. I said I was. I hadn't even opened it. It's sitting on the dresser. I'm holding on to that for a minute. But, yeah. Thank you to your aunt and your mom. And thank you for everybody for holding us down. Shout out to my partner in crime, Damon K. Jones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do we know who's on next? Yeah. do we know who's on Tuesday or next Sunday, Lorraine?
Tuesday we got Tuesday we got Louis Marino from Portchester, who's running for mayor of Portchester.
Okay, yes, that whole Portchester thing is becoming very interesting and filling up my inbox. So, yes, I will be looking forward to that interview, and hopefully it'll answer questions from some of the people that have been asking all these questions. Because we interviewed
Tuesday at 6 o'clock. Tuesday, 6 o'clock, Portchester candidate Louis Marino.
Yeah, because we interviewed the other candidate already. So, yeah, anybody interested, make sure you tune in for that. And next week you have on here, what candidate you have for next week here?
Next week, John Rubo and Nadine Burns-Lyons, who's the founder and secretary for the Charter School of Excellence in Yonkers.
And John Rubo is the city councilman in Yonkers running for re-election.
And the reason why we having candidates in Yonkers for city council in Yonkers coming in on Sundays is because their council meetings are on Tuesdays at the same time that we're on the air, so they can't make it. So we kind of had to give them, Sundays.
Right. Thank you for clearing that up, though, because I'm sure I would have got a phone call like, why they get to be on Sunday? Yeah, so thank you very much, Lorraine. With that said, until next week, peace.
Bye, Dr. Bye, AJ.